Welcome back. Let's take some news updates before we jump to the newspapers. Now, the Ghana Police Service says it is considering shutting down social media services in the country on November 7, the day of the general elections. According to the Inspector General of Police, John Kudalo, the abuse of social media platforms by both political parties and ordinary Ghanaians has often created unnecessary tension in the country. He believes that given the strain that preparation towards the elections have put on the country's security apparatus, it would be unwise to ignore the potential of social media as an incendiary point for violence. In February, the Ugandan government shut down social media in what President Museveni called security measure to avert lies as he was re-elected for a 5th term in office. Now, when he was sworn in, this was also repeated. Mr. Kudalo said that the police is following the example set by other countries, but added that the police was also mulling over the possibility of setting up social media accounts of their own. He said this would enable them to counter the actions of potential troublemakers who might compromise security operations during the elections. The Africa Center for Energy Policy says the recent directive from the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission to the ECG to suspend new metering system, which has led to overbilling of consumers or customers, comes too late. PRC, according to ASEP, says implementation of the directive may even have chaotic consequences. The statement issued by Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, the Executive Director of ASEP, observed that PRC has failed to apply the full length of its act in the past. The energy policy think tank, however, agreed with PRC on the need for consumers wrongfully disconnected to be reconnected. ASEP also recommended legal action against utility companies by customers in cases like what is happening, especially when there is suspicion that PRC is not being protective enough. The Africa Center for Energy Policy says the recent directive from the PRC to ECG to suspend a new metering system is too late and not effective. And finally, a member of the panel of Supreme Court judges who ordered the Electoral Commission to purge the voters' register of persons who used the NHIS card as a form of identification for the registration says the court was clear in its ruling. Speaking to some journalists on Thursday, Justice Jones-Dochi said the use of the NHIS card is unconstitutional and it should take the opportunity to clean the register for those undesirable persons. He noted that because we do not also want to disenfranchise anybody, so the Supreme Court went on to say that anybody who will be affected by that exercise should be given the opportunity to register according to the law and the Constitution. The EC, he stated that the Supreme Court May 5 ruling on the voters' register did not instruct them to delete the names of those registered with NHIS cards as a proof of identity ahead of 2016 elections. The EC further claimed that after studying the ruling, the understanding does not also suggest the use of any new process to delete the names of those who registered with the card other than the existing processes for removing ineligible voters. And go to tv3network.com. There is more news there. That's it. The newspaper review is up next. Welcome back, and let's start with a couple of them reporting on the same story: the Daily Graphic, the Daily Guide, the Today newspaper, and also the Ghanaian Times. All have the biggest story of the day, I guess, because it talks about Justice Doche's attempt to explain, even though he says that he won't explain the law or the ruling away from the courtroom. The Daily Graphic captures it as we ordered EC to delete NHIS names from voters register. It comes with a photograph of him there, Justice Jones DOTSE there, talking to some journalists yesterday. Also on the Daily Graphic, you can catch up this story. We may block social media on election day. That's according to the IGP. We'll take a look at that story too. And then ECG admits discrepancies in billing system and says political meters in the system. We'll take a look at that. The Ghanaian Times has on the front page photographs of Madame Charlotte Asay and Justice Jones DOTSE, and it says EC flawed. We ordered names of NHIS card holders to be deleted. That's according to Justice Jones DOTSE. The Daily Guide has Justice DOTSE's bombshell, remove all NHIS voters. And IGP to ban social media also captured on the front page of the Daily Guide newspaper. Right, those are some stories on some of the newspapers. But let me tell you who my guests are this morning. To my left is a member of Parliament for Tema East, Daniel Titus Kwate Glover. Oh, good morning. Kwate Titus Glover, I see. Good morning once again. Thanks for joining us. You've been with me for years.
That yours is a botanical name.
Daniel before the knee, okay, knee before the knee.
It's a botanical name, you know.
Knee Kwate, okay. Then Titus Glover.
Okay.
My first name, my house
It's a botanical
name.
name.
It's a botanical name.
It has to flow accordingly.
Okay. And then to my right is Presidential Staffer Dr. Clement Park. Good morning and welcome to you.
Good morning, Bright.
I hope you're doing well. It's a weekend.
By the grace of God, I'm well.
Great. All right. Let's start from here. Now, this story, quite a big story for the day. Yesterday, Justice Jones DOTSE met and spoke to some journalists. And according to him, the Supreme Court was clear in asking the EC to delete names of those who registered using NHIS card. Let me start with you, Dr. Clement Park. For me, I think Justice DOTSE seemed to have told us the same thing as the ruling on May 5, because the ruling said, go ahead and delete the names and get them to be properly registered. The issue is how to delete the names. Now, some have suggested that Justice DOTSE is adding more to the confusion.
Very well, Bright. Let me say good morning to our viewers across the country, and particularly my constituents in the DOTSE South, which is which has its capital as Fumbisi.
Right.
So, I think that to the substantive issue, your preamble has captured what many commentators have come to conclude. Indeed, if we are to be honest and straightforward, what Justice DOTSE is quoted to have said is not at variance with the word and letter of the judgment. The gray area, if I may use that phrase, is the method and the processes by which those names on the register deemed not to be illegible to be on the register have to be expunged. Now, we know that in the case of those fully citizens who have passed on, to put it bluntly, dead people don't vote.
Right.
And
in fact, you can't even give them a hearing as the law requires.
Therefore, and it will be very difficult for anyone to even try to vote. Remember that we are now using the biometric voting system. So they go with their thumbs. So we know that that has been resolved. Of course, the other category has to do with minors, which is also a whole different ball game in terms of the processes that can be used to determine even who a minor is, and then to go or move further to expunge the name of that minor from the register. And also remember that that also has other legal implications, right? Because by law, it is a crime for a minor to be on the voters register. But even so, people have also argued and asked the question, how do you determine a minor? Is it by birth certificate? Do you need the parents to come and certify? Is it by a visual examination or a visual impression of the person? And it presents a problem. I mean, we have this popular saying that Gazeri by Yaruba. You may see somebody with some very youthful features, as we like to call it in Ghana, baby face. But for all you know, the person is 30 years or above. So that is another problem that, you know, we are going to have to deal with. And I'm sure that the EC is probably thinking about how to deal with all of these issues. The other one is the issue of foreigners, which also has to be tackled. But the main one that seems to have caught the attention of many, and this has generated a lot of attention, largely because the original intent, and I want to emphasize, the original intent of the plaintiffs was to seek to get the current register declared void and totally flawed, with no ability to be used to conduct a credible, fair, and transparent election. That was the original intent.
But the court said no.
Yes.
Okay.
So it is very important that as we are having this debate, we recognize that the plaintiffs lost. If you look at all the relief that they sought in the case that was brought before the court, not even on one occasion were they granted the relief that they sought. So for them to have then gone on to pollute the environment by trying to, if you like, impose their own interpretation on the judgment, I believe is what laid the basis for the subsequent debate, which has now also been added on by the comments attributed to Justice DOTSE. But I think that if you look at it critically, the EC has not rejected or indicated that they are not willing to take the needed steps to ensure that the register is cleansed and is in a shape that can allow all of us to believe and accept, as I do, that we are going to have a free, fair, and transparent election. The issue is the process. And it talks about existing process. That is the position of the EC, existing process.
The law.
And in as far as the court has not given the EC any specific directive about what process to use, I don't think we can fault the EC for indicating that what they know as the processes by which names that are not supposed to be on the voters register is what they are going to adopt. So essentially...
So for you, the EC has not refused to implement what the court said?
As far as I know, it hasn't. They say that existing process. Except, of course, I mean, the eminent jurist wants to tell us specifically what process the court requires the EC to adopt. And in this case, that in itself will create a constitutional problem. Remember that the EC is supposed to be autonomous and independent. And as much as this is the highest court of the land, there are boundaries. And I think that if you read the judgment in its totality, you would understand that the ongoing debate has all been generated as a result of the plaintiffs seeking victory and to make claims that they sought from the court and didn't get. And that has necessitated all the responses that we are seeing. So I don't think that the comments by the jurist, although if I were him, I certainly would not have made that comment in public, given the fact that I was part of the panel.
He told them he wouldn't explain the ruling out from a courtroom.
Certainly, but he ended up creating, I mean, if you like, laying the foundation for people to even accentuate, you know, interpretations that the ruling certainly does not support. So if I were him, I would not have made the comment. But be as it may, he has made the comment, but certainly it does not deviate from the content of the judgment and the position of the Electoral Commission.
All right. I'm grateful, Dr. Park, for your time. If indeed the EC says that, okay, the processes were not told by the court directly, that delete the names through this process, and the EC says already the processes of deletion have started, and all these are there. What do you make of what Dr. Justice DOTSE just told journalists?
Thank you very much, Bryce. And let me also say good morning to your viewers out there, especially all the good people in Tema, particularly the East. I want to start by saying that I would disagree with you in your first statement that you said that Justice DOTSE is adding up to the confusion.
I was only asking a question.
The confusion that you asked, that is adding up to the confusion. I totally disagree with you.
Right.
When the Supreme Court gave the ruling in favor of the NDC, they were happy.
In terms of what? What is
in
in
terms
favor
of the
NDC?
Supreme Court, the case that the MPP and Nanado and Dr. Bamian and Jake took to court, when they ruled in their favor, oh, they are the best judges. We had it on the land. They have given their decision. We need to respect the Supreme Court and all that. The same Supreme Court judges have come up with a ruling. Now they are being given some sort of names, calling, and all over the place. They keep saying, we must respect institutions of state. The apex court of the land have come up with a ruling. And you have so many different interpretations of people saying it. What has the Justice DOTSE said? And this is clear. We ordered the EC to delete the NHIS names on the register. It is this difficult to do? Nana Bright, this is a simple matter. Because the history of this case, way back in 2014, okay, is a national health insurance a way of determining your identity as a Ghanaian?
The court says no.
Absolutely. If you want to know who a Ghanaian is, your birth cert, your driving license, your passport, national identification, ID card. But the NHIS does not show proof of your Ghanaian citizenship. So let us take that one out. And because the EC knew, the Supreme Court knows that, look, in taking their name out of the register is a way of trying to disenfranchise these people. They say, hold on, there's a remedy to cure that arrangement.
Right.
EC, go back, have an opportunity for these people to now come with their real Ghanaian identity cards. If you don't have a Ghanaian identity, like we did the limited one, you come with a letter to come and prove that this is Daniel Titus Global. And that is sorted out. What is too difficult for this to be done? The
concerns are that what Justice DOTSE told journalists yesterday is the same thing that the ruling said on May 5. And yet, after the ruling, there was so much confusion in the minds of people as to how this deletion should be done. And so, for instance, the argument that go back to court is to ask them to tell the EC how to delete the names. Specificity. Right. That's what we were talking about.
The EC know what to do. When you go into their system, I'm not an IT specialist, but my simple understanding, when you go into their system, the data system,
right,
those who register with different ID cards of nationality, you can see it. They have on their system. They should be able, we can develop the software to take out all those who came up with national health insurance ID cards to register. We can easily see it.
The EC has argued that it can't work like that because before you delete a name from the roll, you need to give the person a hearing.
What are we talking about? So that is the EC said they know better than the court, than the judges. Why are we trying to hide behind?
Say automatically.
Please.
I'll get you the chance.
But you are suggesting an automatic deletion.
Clement.
Dr. Park, I'll get the chance.
How do you delete?
Titus, please go on.
How do you delete the names? And in deletion, those who came with different types of ID cards is clearly on their system. And with those, particularly with the national health insurance, the EC said that they cannot go and delete it. Is that what they are telling the court?
Is the EC mandated to just go and delete names of people on the voters' roll?
Because the law is saying that based on what they use in identifying themselves as Ghanaians, is unconstitutional.
But doesn't the law, the CI 91 also say that before you do these things, use the processes, the law is there. Get the person a hearing before you do that.
The C191?
Yes.
Says that you should give the people a hearing.
Yes.
Before you go ahead and do it.
Yes.
So are you saying that the EC knows better than the law lords?
I have not said that.
That's exactly what they are saying. They say go back and delete the names. And you are saying that
using the appropriate law.
See, and cleverly then this is comfortable with this position of the electoral commission.
Why
because
the NDC
if it is
alone?
yes, because
why the NDC alone?
They are happy. Because they know what they did. You know,
that's an
a lot of names,
a
lot of these NHIS cards was made. They were doing it free of charge for people, including non-Ghanaians and all that.
Okay.
So it was a big blow for the NDC when the court ruled that we cannot use the NHIS card as a Ghanaian ID card to determine your nationality.
If the NDC has mismanaged the economy and the people have seen it, the fact that they use this card to register and they want to take them off, they already know that the NDC had this mismanaged economy, so they will go and vote MPP. So why should it be a worry to the NDC?
That is another matter. That is another matter to be dealt with when it comes to elections. But we are dealing with decision of the court.
Right.
Is the electoral commission telling they are not going to respect the decision of the court? And Justice Bodoto said that he does not want to go into the nitty-gritty of the ruling. Those who took the matter to court, it's unfortunate that USAC is on strike. I'm sure I heard my brother Abu Ramadan that he's prepared to go back to the court. So that the court should rather make it clear for everybody to hear.
So Justice DOTSE has not explained the ruling at all?
No, he did not. Okay. All that he's saying is that, look,
so we told them to go back of the court.
to delete the names.
That's exactly the question I asked from the beginning.
And it's on our opportunity. I think they were having a training program for their judges, you know, on electoral matters and all that. And of course, you should expect some of these questions to come.
Of course.
Of course. So he really hit the nail right on the head. We ordered them to go and take the names out.
So when the Ghanaian Times, for instance, says EC flawed,
that is just a headline.
Okay.
A headline.
Isn't it then misleading?
Extremely misleading.
You know, journalists, the way you twist your captions and all that, just to sell your papers and all that. But it does not take the meat out of the soup. Clearly, the decision was made by the electoral commission. You know, and if you want to go back by the court, what they affirmed.
Right. On May 5.
On May 5. Let me see what it says here. Supreme Court decision. In a unanimous decision on May 5, 2016, the Supreme Court declined to declare the current voters register null and void and unconstitutional, because you remember the plaintiff were saying that we need to set this thing aside. You know, and the Supreme Court said, no, we cannot grant you that relief. And for that matter, we're not going to allow it. It, however, directed the EC to delete the names of voters who were not eligible, deceased persons and minors from the voters register. It said, although CI 72 was declared unconstitutional in 2014 by the same court, registered voters should be given the opportunity to register with acceptable forms of identification after their names had been removed from the current register. What again do you want them to do? My brother, it's clear. But unfortunately, we want to hide behind legalities and all sort of things just to respect the decision of the court. And when you do that, it's a recipe for disaster for this country. It's a recipe. You are preparing this country to chaos.
We can't go back to the court.
You understand? That is why the plaintiffs said they want to go back to the court.
Yes, but if you say you prepare the country for
clearly,
chaos, it's a bit worrying, because we can go back to court even if we disagree.
But we're in this country where a court gives decision, they don't respect it.
But we can still go back
to
the
BNI disrespect court decision.
Titus, we can still go back
are we not in Ghana?
Even if the decision of the court is not respected.
I'm saying that, who says that the EC cannot disrespect the court?
But we can still go back to court if the EC disrespects the court.
Because they disrespect the court. They don't respect the court. So it's a recipe for chaos in this country.
I'm grateful. So for you, the EC's argument that, look, the process has started, we are doing it, it doesn't sit with you at all.
It does not sit with me.
I see. I'm grateful.
They know what to do. They know the best thing to do.
Okay, I'm grateful. Dr. Park, quickly.
Yeah, very well, very well. Look, I think that we have to be straightforward and honest with the good people of this country. It is very clear, we have said it time and again, that by virtue of the fact that the MPP is struggling to put together a message, they have developed this tendency of embellishing issues with the hope of trying to confuse the electorate. But it's not going to wash, because we have a constitutional body, the Electoral Commission, which has a clear mandate. We have the Supreme Court, where we all go to seek redress and interpretations of this nature. They have made their judgment. They have pronounced judgment. The Electoral Commission has indicated that it is going to adopt existing processes within the law to do what the court says needs to be done, and to remove names of those, quote unquote, who use the NHIS card to register was never indicated to be automatic. And I think that is where our opponents are getting it wrong. A process must be followed. You can't just expunge names like that without going through a process. There have to be modalities. You have to have a process. You have to have a procedure. You have to have a standard. So you just go into the database and you just delete the names like that. How would they even know that their names have been deleted in the first place? So that they would take advantage of the wisdom of the Supreme Court, which makes provision for them to go back, as he rightly said, with proper identification to register. So this attempt to try and stampede the EC to suggest that perhaps the EC is in collusion with our political party, which is the mantra. I mean, the Director of Communications for the MPP, Nana Komia, actually said this publicly, that the EC and NDC have a plan. Let my vote count is threatening fire and brimstone, even suggesting that if what they want is not done on the day of the poll, they were going to physically prevent people from voting. And yet, moral and civil society, they are sitting aloof and watching. These are some of the very dangerous and inflammatory statements that can lead to the chaos that they are trying to nurture and perpetrate on the people of this country. But we will survive.
I don't think the NPP has said anything. They want to perpetrate chaos.
But he's the one talking about chaos.
I told him that the courts are there, and I'm sure he agrees the courts are there. Titus, one key thing, yes, I'll get you to react, but tie in the fact that Dr. Park is suggesting that, for instance, if we go by what you said, that EC knows the name, so just go out there and expunge them. How do we even get the persons informed that we have indeed expunged your name, come back with another card? And also, you're a member of parliament, particularly now that JUSAG is on strike, and Abu Ramadan and co are unable to go to court. How can this affect the November 7th date? Because then the EC would have to go on with its own process, as they have said.
With regard, let me tackle it from the labor perspective, with regards to the JUSAG strike. When you have a government that is stubborn, a government that is not ready to listen to industrial relations practices, these are the end results that you face. Because when you see trade unions striking, it means that allows them to go on strike. So you put the blame right on the feet of the government for their inability to solve these labor matters. In this country, if you want to solve it, unless you make noise before they will be asked to go and sit to talk. So clearly, that is a big snag, and it is their duty to resolve the industrial strike by the JUSAG members. Now, he's saying that how can you notify the people whose name will be expunged from the books? That is where they are there. That is why they have a budget. The court has given you a ruling. So you should tell the court with the interested party, because you remember before the decision of the Supreme Court, they gave them an opportunity to go and sit down with the plaintiff to resolve as to how they go about this matter. You remember?
Right. They met.
Yes.
They met Mr. Ramadan and Gary.
They gave them an opportunity to sit down to see how best they could resolve this matter.
Even though Abu said that nothing
concrete even
out
after that meeting. So clearly, the EC is dragging its feet, want to hide behind legalities just to make sure they don't go and expunge the names. For me, I'm in Tema East. NPP is not going to cause any chaos in this country. All that we are saying is that that change of incompetence must go under President Mama and his NDC administration. You asked a very wonderful question. After all, Ghanaians know that things are hard. If you want to change them, why do you still want? But the decision of the court has been taken. We need to respect it. That's where I'm coming from. If tomorrow, as a member of parliament, a court gives you order and I don't respect it, by this time, I'll be behind bars.
Right.
Do you understand? So that is the recipe of what I'm talking about. We are not ready for anything. But however, we will not sit down for you to tie our hands behind our back. Like the way your police's patrol team national patrol team left here and went to voter region Masakasa and took registration kits to enter Togo for my regional chairman to chase them, and yet they have to hit him with the part of the gun.
Right, you are allowing him
you're still making this allegation. The last time you mentioned
don't mind what they are saying.
You are allowing
what
him
they
to
are
make these
saying. What are you talking about? So clearly, we will respect the rules of elections. Okay? We respect the rules of elections. But that does not mean that anybody can just push us over. After that one day, we'll make sure we defend the ballot. So long as the ballot has been cast, we have to defend it and make sure everything is nice. I will do everything in my capacity to make sure I'll cooperate with the EC, with the security, to let it run. But I'm not a pushover. MPP is not a pushover.
I'm grateful. I'm grateful for your submission. I guess we'll drop this one for now and move on to talk about...
So I don't get to have a last bite.
Are you out of your
Dr.
time?
Park,
What kind of greed is that?
You allow him to
You
say all of
spoke
these.
to us.
No. He knows that the EC has
talk,
come to deny
came
what
back.
he said
Very
about...
well.
You hit me, I hit
So
you.
very well. Very well.
Titus knows. In fact, we have...
Very well.
What is
Very
that?
well.
He knows.
But
Continue.
let's give the EC the benefit of the
No,
doubt.
the EC has come to say that what
the EC will do what is right
the
in
Volta
the interest
regional
of
chairman
man
alleged isn't the case, and I'm
But
sure
he's sitting here
Titus
so
knows.
putting it.
Titus knows what he
Member of
knows
Parliament. Your title says honourable.
What have I said?
I mean, you know that the EC has denied the Volta regional issue. But let's move on. Let's move on.
But you didn't listen to John Amewu.
Yes, John said it,
Did
but
he
the
speak to
EC
you?
said no.
I beg.
Okay. All right, let's move on. Now, yesterday, the IGP met media crime, and of course, the main issue about elections, the media not to engage in information that will not augur well for the country. Now, we're told that the police are also thinking about, in fact, they're only thinking about it, banning social media on that day. The IGP said that in Uganda it worked. He raised the issue of Togo and other places, and he thinks that Nigeria, and he thinks that it can work for us. And so they are thinking about it. They have not taken a decision yet. Tassos, let me start with you.
Right. We need to be very careful of certain examples that we want to copy. In fact, we have to look at best practices across the globe. The internet is a very powerful knowledge tool that we need to use for the development of the country and all that. But the IGP should be very careful. Careful in the sense that after the Uganda elections, the opposition leader who was under house arrest had a lot of things to say about the government. They actually used that to the disadvantage of the opposition. Is that what they want to bring here? Is that what they want to bring here? Because what I know is that anybody who used the internet wrongfully, they leave traces at their back. And the police have the expertise. If somebody does anything that is wrong, as we speak now, even before the elections, they have a department for cyber crime and all that. They have the capacity and the skill and the people to trace people who does these wrong things on the internet, and you can easily be arrested. Do you understand? So that when somebody does what is wrong with the use of the internet, and you are picked up, you are sent to court. You understand? And all these things are being taken care of. I don't have a problem. But where you want to use solely because of elections, it sends a very bad signal. What is the IGP standing on as grounds to say that because Togo and Uganda use it, therefore that matter Nigeria, so I must go and use it here?
He argues that a lot of information, people declaring results and able to fake certain pictures and put them on social media, it raises tension. Okay, we saw it in Talensi during the Talensi elections.
Right. That is why between now to the elections, all this while, all those who are doing, for example, Clement in his nice shades, somebody go and cartoon Clement in a very wrongful manner and put it on social media, damage his integrity, destroy his image and all that. If he picks up and he sends to the police and the police investigate, they can trace and see whoever did that. And the police can pick the person on. Do you understand my point? Let us not use, because we are hearing so many things.
What are you hearing?
We are hearing so many. I don't want to share this publicly here. But the IGP should be very careful.
Tendencies.
He should be very professional in the handling of this matter, so that we should not hide behind government to try to cow the opposition to submission.
Is there a suspicion that the government would use this against the opposition?
The NDC is controlling the states. They have this state security apparatus at their disposal.
They don't control the social media, you know that.
Please. They have largesse. They have good money that they want to throw out on election day. We don't have, what we have is the people.
Titus, this is
you understand?
This is an allegation.
You see, we have the people.
Let's not go there.
We have the people. All I'm saying is that I respect the IGP. His neutrality, his professionalism, and his skill must be seen to be a very good arbiter in security matters, so long as these elections are concerned. If you want to look at best practices, why Togo and Uganda?
It was used in Nigeria too.
Why don't you go to the other well?
And the opposition
why don't
party
you go to
won
that
the
one well? How are they doing it? In Uganda, I've told you that the opposition, they use that against them.
But in Nigeria, it was used and the opposition party won.
You see, is that a good practice? So let us weigh the demerits and the merits of this arrangement that he wants to do. It's a very nice thing that he wants to do. But I heard I watched the late news last night, and I think the president of GJA really chipped in to say that he should be very careful, because the social media in this, by and large, is not a bad thing. He admitted that there may be few, challenges as to the use of the cyberspace and all that. But generally, they go there and they get good stories, which journalists use in their publications and all that. So we need to be very circumspect and very careful as to how we want to handle this thing.
You are for it, but we should be careful.
We should be very careful and not go and use it just to go and... After all, in election, Oman FM, they jam. They make sure their station never worked.
Title, it's an allegation.
It is an allegation.
You're making a lot of allegations.
Unbelievable.
I'm saying that go to Oman FM and find out.
Title,
the whole network was
jammed. An allegation. It's a Friday.
It is a fact.
Why you're making too many allegations.
No, it's not an allegation. It's a fact.
You need to
go to Oman FM on election day. The network was jammed.
You need to go to church on Sunday because you have made too many
allegations. No.
This
I'm saying that
allegation
when you finish, call the director of radio.
All right.
He will tell you the network was jammed, and they have arrangement to jam it again.
Those are allegations.
This is an allegation. They did it in 2012.
I'm grateful, Titus, for this one. Dr. Park, so he agrees that it's a good thing we can't do, but I think his worries about modalities. Perhaps his suggestion that government is in a way trying to use it against your position. That's what he's trying to talk about.
Well, first of all, I have to say that Titus Glover looks like the campaign is beginning to heat up in his constituency.
Oh, he's been campaigning all this while.
Usually, he's not one to throw out so many allegations in one setting, but be as it may, the heat is on. Now, I think that we must put the idea put forth by the IGP into proper context.
Right.
Remember that when you read the headline, it was not a definite statement.
Right.
It is more of an idea that is being considered. And then he then goes on to give examples of where this has occurred, which quite clearly had been beneficial to the peace, unity, and stability of those countries. So it is not as though the IGP has made a conclusive statement to the effect that on November 7th, there's going to be a blackout in as far as social media is concerned. So it is not right and fair for us to then begin to make projections and make assumptions and even proffer potential beneficiaries and those that it is going to disadvantage. I think we are putting the cart in front of the horse. But we must also consider the fact that when it comes to matters of security, the state institutions which we all expect to protect us as a people, to protect our territorial integrity, and to ensure that our state and our nation continues to exist and thrive, even as we compete on the basis of ideas to try and further and improve the conditions of life of our people, they have what it takes, and they know some type of information that you and I may not be privy to. But be as it may, if this is going to be something that the security agencies decide that based on what they know, what has gone on in different parts of the world, particularly in Africa, in Nigeria, is going to inure to the benefit of the state in terms of preserving our peace, unity, and stability. I think that they have the mandate per the Constitution to do what is in the best interest of this country. So rather than trying to politicize it and to even begin to moot the idea that this is going to disadvantage a particular political party or tradition, we should see this as an idea that is being put forth to be considered within the context of the dangers. And there are clear and present dangers.
It will not infringe on some rights, the right to
well,
expression, speech and all that?
Every right, yes, we are allowed to enjoy. But the right to security, the right to peaceful coexistence, I believe they are also very important rights. And that is why I think that, you know, the idea should be considered. We would have a discussion. I believe that the IGP, as he has demonstrated since he took over, is somebody who is very open, very engaging. And this decision, if it is to be made, if this idea is to become a reality, it's not going to be done without consulting stakeholders and perhaps, you know, letting them understand what may justify this type of action. But make no mistake, we shouldn't think that our use of social media or the internet is only limited to us Ghanaians. There are external agencies and forces that may not want the well-being of this country, which could take advantage of these sorts of platforms to foment trouble and hit our heads against each other. The possibilities are abound. I mean, we can all give a few examples of, you know, very high public figures, men of integrity in this country who have been victims of vicious attack on social media. So are we just going to sit by and know that there is a potential for this to be used for mischief, to cause chaos and pandemonium in our country, and just let it pass? Then what would be the role of our security agencies? So the idea certainly must be considered. We can have the dialogue. All stakeholders, I'm sure, will be engaged. And if indeed it is deemed that it is necessary for the peace, unity, and security of our country, I don't see why we shouldn't consider it.
I see. Great. Dr. Pat, great.
Right. I think that, yes, I've said it and I'll repeat again, that anybody who uses the internet wrongfully to create anarchy, to commit crime, the Ghana Police Service have the capacity, they have the skill, and the men and women to effect any arrests. Because it's something they do all the time. So why are we waiting till election day?
Right. I have a response.
Can I get a chance?
Yes, very well. Well, there's a very important point that needs to be made.
I think that they should continue to do whatever they are doing. We'll give them all the support that we need. And from the angle of the engagement and the dialogue of journalists don't declare results. Because at every polling station, okay, when the results are declared publicly, unofficially, they report to the election center. You have an arrangement here in TV.
But we have examples where the EC has said, don't declare results that have not been, results. And yet the media has gone ahead to declare results to do it.
At the end of the day, you all have a platform, all the results, because we need to do some of these things so that we don't be taken by events or surprise. Because every polling station, results will be declared. And that was the one in 2012, journalists were not asked to be part of the special voting. You know the arrangement that the EC did? Right. That was wrong.
The law barred journalists from, not the EC, it was the law.
You know, so as part of the special voting, journalists who will be sent out nationwide by their media houses to go and observe the way the election is being done. At the end of the day, results are announced. We take note and we bring it to our center. I don't see anything wrong about it, but we should be cautious that you announce the right figure that has been declared at the police station by the presiding officer. You understand? So all I'm saying is that, yes, look, this country under President Mama, whatever they want to do, they will do it. So all that is doing, this is Kakamutobi.
Oh, please.
This is Kakamutobi. They just want to test the pulse of the people and see what they want to do. They will do it. We know them. We know them.
It's interesting.
We know them. Whatever they want to do, they will do. So, Mr. IGP, me, I'm telling you, be neutral as an arbiter in security to make sure the right things are done. That is what I want to caution you.
I'm grateful. Dr. Park, you wanted a reaction, a quick one, and then let's move on to this.
A quick one. You see, I think that we must see this as an idea that seeks to be preemptive. He speaks about the fact that, yes, we have processes in place. There is a unit in the Ghana Police Service capable of, following the footprints of web users.
People who engage in...
well and good.
Yeah.
Well and good. Now, if people want to cause mischief, to destabilize this country and cause chaos, are we to wait for that to occur before we then start looking for them? This is the point.
But
so it is important to take a preemptive action in order to forestall the potential of some people destabilizing this country, causing fear and panic for political or economic gains. Remember, we are a country endowed with a lot of resources. And make no mistake, there are entities and forces very eagerly willing to swoop in and take advantage of our God-given resources. So yes, whilst I agree that the system is already there to do this, by virtue of the event that we are talking about, one of the most important rights that every Ghanaian citizen of voting age has the right to participate in, it is only important that we also consider preemptive action that would save us to continue to have the institutions that we have to go after them. But on this particular day, if it becomes necessary for special activities to be undertaken as the IGP has suggested, I think based on dialogue and openness and transparency,
all right,
there shouldn't be any reason why anyone should have anything to fear.
Which Titus agrees with. All right.
Jam it. You've decided a thing in your
Titus,
in your court
is all this jamming?
You will do it.
No, the IGP said only.
I'm telling you, mark it.
I'm a bit disappointed this morning. Why all of these allegations? What is going on?
Should go to church on
We see we are here. Election day will come. They will jam.
All right.
They will jam all the social media.
Okay.
Some radio stations will be jammed.
Oh.
I've said it.
All right.
Yes, poisoning the minds of the citizens.
No, I'm sure before we end the show, he will.
No, but he knows it's not true, yet he's saying
all
it.
Right. I'm grateful. Now, let's move on to this ECG issue. The company admitting discrepancies in the billing system. The ECG says that indeed there were some problems, some challenges with the billing system. However, it says that it cannot go ahead and stop using the new system because it will bring the whole billing system process to a halt. And that will mean the company losing some money. But rather, they are engaged in some auditing to look at the challenges and deal with it. Titus, the ECG is taking the consumer for a ride. So it knew that there were anomalies, and yet it didn't come out until PURC said that stop what you're doing.
Nana Bright, thank you very much. When you listen to statement by the NDC and their parachikes, all that they say is that Akufo-Addo should give alternative, because Nanado made a statement, I think yesterday,
to reduce
the and all. I monitored some.
You should give the processes.
You see, when you become stale, when you're incompetent, it's at the crunch that you can't resolve the problems. Then you are calling on your opposition member to come and give his idea. You see, we will not tell you, because already whatever we've come out with, you came to plagiarize it. And I'm talking about not involvement fund. Now you call it SADA. And we use it as a conduit to siphon money from the state. You see, let us not give a dog a bad name and hang it. It is true that ECG may have their own challenges and their problems. But the unnecessary taxes that we have put on this service is another matter.
That's what is causing the increase.
It is another matter. Because you are charging 17.5% VAT. Before we rose for the Easter vacation, under certificate of urgency on this special energy levy, Mr. Speaker,
10%
the 10%, Mr. Speaker gave an opportunity to contribute on that arrangement. And I asked the Speaker, what is that indecent hate for? Because Ghanaians are not ready for this arrangement. Today, you have collapsed businesses. Today, under President Mama's government, people have been thrown out of their jobs. Today, TV3 here, go and compare the kind of tariffs that you pay every month.
Have you seen
I've not seen it, but you are not different from other media houses.
Okay.
You are not different.
But you haven't seen how much.
I know in multimedia, they pay a lot, quite colossal amount of money. And you've plunged this country into this disarray. Then you come back and you share crocodile tears that we should come and share with you as to what? Now who costs them? In the purchase of this metering system, you have a board. You have a ministry for power. Who sat down? What was the kind of bidding that was done? Was it under sole sourcing or under competitive bidding? The type of machine that was bought, was it well calibrated? Did the standard board did what they are supposed to do? So you look at all these arrangements and find out whether indeed there was value for money. When this thing started, we started complaining. You are cheating us, oh, you are killing us, oh, people are dying. They were happy. My colleague and senior, Honorable Kennedy Japan, he brought electricity bills of his co-store. During the budget, he spoke. The state of the nation, he spoke. Drawing the attention of the House that, look, let us take politics out of this matter. And let us be very careful in dealing with these things. They were calling him names. Now you are hit on the face with your incompetence, and you are saying that we should do what? ECG. Take these taxes off and see if this is not going to come down. Last week, the Association of Ghana Industries, they had a conference with the ECG, the Waterworks, the Ghana Water Company, and the PURC. Clearly on the face, they are telling that, look, these services that we are rendering, you are giving to us, is killing our businesses. Now, no, you have destroyed people's jobs. People have been thrown out of work. You go to the coal stores, you see what people are struggling. Then you come and tell us what? What do you want us to say? That is what Akufo-Addo is telling them. Go and take the taxes off. Take it off. And then, you should bring his idea. Bring what? When you brought the Northern Development Fund, then you came and stole the idea. Right. Look at how you mess it up.
Okay, Titus, so your point is, wrap up with me and let me go to Dr. Park.
In my conclusion, yes. Now, Parliament, Mr. Speaker has ordered to engage the Minister of Power and ECG to look at how we can solve this problem. And I think that is the best thing that we need to do. That is why when we are taking decisions, we need to be very circumspect and careful. So then let's not give ECG a bad name like a dog and hang it. There are problems in government. The government is owing ECG over $400 million. Okay, have you paid?
Okay, so that's why
have you
the
paid?
tariffs have gone up.
You are not paying and you want to pass it on to the people to come and pay.
Dr. Park, have you paid your debt to ECG?
I pay my debt to ECG.
I'm talking about government.
I pay my debt to ECG all the time.
Okay, all right. Dr. Park, let me hear your reaction.
I think it is very interesting, the twist that Titus Global.
What is the twist here?
Has tried.
I don't know fat.
You were complaining when I tried to heckle you, so
let me have my. But you did something.
Let me have my fair
Go
share.
ahead. He's not heckling you. Okay. All right. Dr. Park, go.
It's interesting how he has twisted it and added on, embellished, but you know that is it. It's the nature of the game. But look, let's be honest and straightforward. We are all fully aware of the role of regular power supply to the well-being of our economy and its growth. I mean, we know the types of challenges that we are faced in this country.
Every sector is complaining.
A lot of work went into fixing the situation, improving the erratic power supply. At least we have not said that we have solved it, but everybody agrees that there's been a massive improvement. Now, the issue at hand is one that we all recognize, and government recognizes that. abnormal billing. And most of us, anyone who has a meter, anyone who pays electricity bill, would attest to the fact that something simply just went wrong. And so we shouldn't make any qualms about that. What we should be doing is to try to find a resolution to the problem. And that is the reason why the intersectorial task force has been put together to look at the issue. Remember that even before the current pronouncements by the PURC and the ECG's response, the Deputy Minister for Power had publicly indicated that the ministry had put together a task force to examine and study the issue. And that task force, as far as I know, had been working with the PURC. So it is not as though the issue work is not being done.
Tariffs.
No.
And the suggestion
I think we are mixing the two.
The taxes off and the tariffs
look. Let's be honest with you. We shouldn't mix the two. What we are talking about, the complaints that we are getting, at least from where I sit at the Citizens Complaint Center, overwhelmingly is about this rather abnormal billing that is in process. And the ECG has said it. They said that there is a problem. They have admitted it, and they are going to work to correct it. Of course, that doesn't mean that if and when the work is done by the intersectorial task force that has been put together, there is the need for some remedial measures, and indeed, to hold some people accountable. That will not be done. Leadership is not about having a rosy time. Leadership is about your ability to effectively and efficiently deal with challenges, present and future challenges. And that is what we are doing. So it is not as though somebody is reveling or somebody is happy, government is jubilant about this. It is a challenge that we recognize, but work is being done to fix it. Now, when you have an opposition leader who clearly has demonstrated a high level of bankruptcy in terms of his ability to organize his own party, who has no message for the good people of this country, but trying to take undue opportunistic advantage of an issue like this, without even being specific about what he would do, then you truly know that Ghanaians have no alternative but to keep the NDC.
I see.
To resolve the challenges that we all know we face.
Right.
You have 30 seconds. Wrap up for me.
It is totally ludicrous.
I'm going.
When you hear the NDC talking like this, I'm not surprised, because they are still, the ideas are gone. They've hit the wall. So there's a saying in Akan, say na dana keka. Because you cannot solve the problem. You've been entrusted with the destiny of management of this country. You can't help yourself. Apak Clement, I know, is telling that we don't have a message. So many issues that we've raised, they've put kako in his ears that he doesn't want to know that, or what Anakufa has been saying.
Okay.
But I think that clearly, I asked a question. Who bought the meters? Was it bought under competitive bidding, on their sole sourcing corrupt means of doing things?
I knew that's exactly where you were going to go with this.
Who approved or who okayed the calibration of these meters?
All right.
Right. I said earlier that
you understand?
Intersectorial task force has been set up.
So relax.
All of those issues.
That will wrap up for me. I've just 5 seconds.
We will get to
relax. Is our time up?
Yes, our time is up.
So, viewers,
you don't let me
all
take
I
another
want to
bite
tell
at
you
it.
is that
no.
this is an example of an incompetent government. Let us allow the change to happen.
I see.
To come and clear this mess from our place.
All right. And I'm
We
sure
are tired
tired
of these excuses.
All right.
We are tired
of
these excuses. They are still, the ideas are all gone.
Take
the taxes off
Is a member of parliament
and let the people feel it.
East and Dr.
That is what Nanado is telling you.
It's a presidential.
And stop attacking.
Parliamentary
He hasn't controlled money. He has no resources. When you get that, then you are attacking.
He's announcing that designation.
Yes,
What is
Dr. Clement Apak
Parliamentary
is
candidate
the NDC candidate for Busa South. And
You want to make campaign here? Go to the ground.
I'm grateful, gentlemen. Have a great weekend. I hope to see you next week. All right. Thanks so much. Of course, we're back with more on New Day. Hall of Fame is up next. We have more. Stay with us.